Welcome back to CfTesla. My name is Cody, and on today's update challenge, what we're looking at is update 2021.4.18. Now, this is the update that most people have, but we haven't really gotten down and broke it down yet, really dived under the hood, so to speak, to see what is actually there. Like so many of these updates, there's nothing in the note, so you really have to get out there and test it in most of the same circumstances to see if there are any improvements, and that's what I do here on this channel. So if you're new here, make sure you take a second and subscribe to the channel to catch all the future updates. And if you like this video or if you're entertained at all, please make sure and hit that like button. It helps send this video out into the atmosphere. So first thing we're going to do is get out there and drive it, test everything out. At the end, we'll break it all down and give each part a rating. All right, so let's now start with the actual software notes and see if there's anything here of note. Again, this is update.18. And I'm not suspecting there's going to be anything exciting in here, but we got to look at it. It says minor fixes. So yeah, basically nothing. That's fine. That's fine. I mean, we're very used to that now. This is like 7,082 updates in a row that they've had nothing to give us all the way back since 2020.48.25 when they gave us all this other cool stuff. So for the rating on that, out of 5, we're going to give that a big fat 0. So nothing new exciting in this update on the update notes. Let's now go to check out how it handles staying centered in the lane, as well as how it handles on the sharp corners that we've been testing it on with each update. And what we're doing there again is we're checking to see, are they making improvements on the autopilot guidance system? It's been doing pretty good, making incremental changes. Let's see what we get today. All right, let's get started on some line control. So we got it here. This got some windy roads. We're not real aggressive coming through here. I'm gonna keep it pretty much on the speed limit. Just really want to see how well it does, because last time we came to these corners, it really wanted to hug this inside line every time that the road curved to the right. And so I'm really hoping that gets a little bit better on centering itself. So here was that very first corner right here where it really just tapped that line. And I was hoping it'd be a lot tighter. Nah, it still kind of did it right there. Nothing notable of changer, and actually it feels like it's really wobbly in the lines. So here's a corner coming up here to, or not a corner, but a curve up here to the left, and left it seems to do just fine. You watch, when I turn left here, it's not going to hug that center line very much, or the outside line. It's going to keep it much more centered. See, it slows down automatically, and look at how well it keeps it centered. It does a great job turning to the left. It's just, to the right, that's wrong. It's kind of like us humans, we all kind of have a good side and a bad side. Now look, here is a biker. I've got my hands on the wheel, full control here if it does something weird. And it does. It picks the biker up on the side of the road and slows down for the biker. That was cool. That was new. I've passed bikers on this road the last few times, and it did not do that. And there was no other reason for the car to slow down. It wasn't on a big hill. It wasn't on a corner. So that was actually really cool. All right, so here we are back up at this nasty turn. Okay, I'm gonna put it down to the speed limit so that we have a fair shot at this. Let's see, 45. And this is a sharp left curve. We're coming into this really hot. It's gonna hit the brakes hard here. Ooh, we're not slowing down very much. Oh my gosh. Holy crap. Whoa. Okay, last time we slowed down at 32 miles an hour when we went through there. And that time we went through, I didn't even look at the speed, but it felt like 45 miles an hour. I spilt my pop all over on my phone. We got to do that again. Let's do it from the other direction this time. So that was drastically, insanely worse than the last time. But we got to get another shot here. So we're 25 miles an hour from this angle. See, that's the difference. That side you're coming in at 45. This side we're coming in at 25. So let's see if it handles this a little bit better. So what's going on here is a sharp left over train tracks, and it loses visual of the lines because the lines are all but worn out and gone right here. What we got going on here? Oh. Okay, well, last time we went through there, we did not make that. This time we did. So that's actually, so on one hand, it was way worse. So it did a worse job slowing down. On the other hand, it did a better job at slower miles per hour to drive through that. Okay, we're going into our testing spot for line control and corners. A lot of different curves all through this road right here. So we're gonna slow down here. It's recommending 30 miles per hour. We're gonna get down pretty close to that. Then it releases again, and we speed up again, and then we try to slow down for this corner. This one's pretty steep of a curve, but I mean, we're hugging the inside. We're even touching it a little bit. Forward collision warning. That's the first time that has ever come up on that corner, and I've done probably 20, 30 updates on that curve right there. Never happened before. Let's see how we're doing here. See, we're right on it right there. Touch the line there. Not good, not good. Okay, here's a pretty steep curve to the right here. See, at the very end of the turn, it kind of goes out. Actually, I did that one pretty well, but watch this one to the left. It's going to handle this much better. See, it slows down. Ooh, we were on the line going into it. Okay, we're hitting the brakes hard here, blind corner. That one I did pretty good. Now, here's the curve that the recommended 15. I'm going to do this time. I'm going to actually put it at 15, the recommended speed, and see if it can handle it. Okay, so we're at 17. No, see, it just starts driving right on the line. I mean, there's cars coming. I couldn't let that continue on through like that. Next, we're gonna go test out to see where I can turn autopilot on or off, see if that has changed at all. Okay, what we're watching for here is for that steering wheel to pop up here saying that we can put autopilot or engage autopilot. And we have no lines on either side, but we have a very distinctive grass line on each side. And just so you guys know, the way that this thing works is if you can see the road lines, if there are road lines, oh, it was right there. See, it flashed up twice, but it didn't actually let me put it in right there. So we got another biker up here on the right. I want to see again if this is going to slow down for him. So it does identify, look at the biker. It does identify the biker. Let's see what happens here. What's it going to do? Okay, so it did slow down when it passed the biker. Obviously, I would like in the future to get over into this other lane on my left here. It can't because there's a car right there, so I couldn't have done it really anyway. But the car did slow down and identify it, even though it was off the road. And that's something that I have not seen a bunch other than this update. So that may be something new in this update. So I'm gonna need to, really leave that to you guys to fill me in. I for sure haven't seen that in any update so far. Let's see what happens on this corner here. This is a pretty steep curve to the left. Slowing down to 30 is what they recommend. We're gonna take it at 40. Can't see ooh, that was pretty darn good actually. That was a really sharp curve. Why are we slowing down for this green light? See, the car, I had to tap to go through that. The light was green. We should not have just stopped for that. Coming up on this light here, what we're gonna be looking at now, this very next section, like look at this. Now we're going through it. Like there's no difference. I mean, it's a green light. Yeah, there were cars at this one, but that shouldn't make any difference. If the light's green, green is go to the car, and it used to always do that properly. So have you guys noticed that not working as well? So what we're going to do now is we're going to head onto this main arterial, and we're going to see how well it handles interacting with other vehicles. We're going to see how well it handles changing lanes. Forward collision warning. Why does this keep happening? That's the third time on this drive that it said that, for who knows why. Oh my gosh, the car is freaking out constantly. Take control immediately. Vehicle departing lane. Like, what on earth is going on? It's just bizarre. Like, I've gotten so many collision warnings and take control warnings, and like the car is losing it. And this, I've never seen anything like this. It's just constantly giving you a panic attack that something terrible is happening, and you look around and nothing's happening. So here's what's supposed to happen at these lights. When this light turns green, I'm supposed to go through without me having to tell the car to do it. If you don't have the full self-drive package, what happens is you'll go through and follow the car, but the light turned red, you'd still go through because it's not reading the lights, it's not paying attention to the lights. It's just following it through. It will ding at you if it's red, but it'll still let you go through. So here we go. It's green. My line is green on the screen, so we should be able to go. So this is good. So the car is doing this all on its own, and it doesn't have any issue with it. So that's good. That time it worked. Good. Now here we go again. The light turned green, so here we go through. Wow, there's a lot to unpack here in this new update. First of all, let's talk about the good things. So those bikers, 2 times I passed bikers, actually 3 times, but twice on camera. Each time the car slowed down. Now, it did not get over to the outside of the lane or change lanes, which is what we would normally do when there's a biker on the side of the road, but it did spot it way in the distance, at least 50 feet ahead of me, and it did slow down. So that is something. That is an improvement that I have seen. And let me know below if you've been seeing this in previous updates. I know for sure I have not, because I've been watching all these different things. There was one time as well where I came upon a runner coming at me, and the car did the same thing. It picked it up about 50 feet ahead and slowed down. So that's a great thing. But there was a couple things we got to talk about here on the negative side with this update. First, the forward collision warnings. I had it over 3 times on camera, 4 or 5 times over the whole drive, where all of a sudden the car would start snapping at me, yelling at me, buzzing at me, and I get this forward collision warning, and there was just nothing in front of me. So I don't really know what's going on with that. This update, it felt like I was having a much harder time keeping in the road lines on corners. It felt like it was just a lot of movement in the lines versus just keeping steady and then maybe drifting a little bit on the corners, but it was constantly drifting throughout the drive. And especially on corners where you've seen in the last 10, 15, 20 updates, I've made no problem. This time, it crossed the line. I do find it interesting how when the road curves to the right is when it has most of its problems, but when it curves to the left, it generally does a lot better. Have you guys found this your experience, or is it just my car? Now, if you've been watching my updates for a while, you know I always take it into this one park where it's just all grass and a road that doesn't have road lines on it to see if I'm able to engage autopilot. The reason I do this is because in the past, one time I did do it and it worked the whole way through, but ever since then, any future update, it hasn't worked. But look what I noticed this time. I noticed this time, looking back through the footage, that you can faintly see the fog line on one of the parts of the road, and it's the same part that the steering wheel pops up. So here's my thinking. Maybe when I did that one time, a long time ago, where it did engage through it, I'm just wondering if maybe the grass was cut back further or something to where you could see the road lines easier, or maybe they faded a little more since then. I find that a bit of a stretch because, well, it only was like maybe a month later when I did it again and it didn't work. But that was one thing that I could think of why it might have worked. And then the last thing was that the car was having issues. I've noticed this not just with this update, but some of the previous ones as well, where the light turns green, whether there's a car in front of me or not, and I still have to engage to go forward, meaning I have to press on the accelerator or tap the gear stalk to let it know it's okay to go through the green light. If you have the full self-drive package, this is not something you should ever have to do. If the car sees the light as green and the cars in front of you are going through, you should follow them straight through. If you're coming up to a light that's green and you haven't stopped yet, the car should go straight through. Now, if you come up to a light that's red and the car stops and there's no cars in front of you, the car will not go through the red light until you do tell it to go through by, again, hitting the gear stalk or tapping the accelerator. But in these instances today, the light was green, I should have gone through it, and there were cars in front of me, so I should have gone through it. So let's give it an overall rating. Now remember, 5 just means new updates, significant changes, big improvements. 0 just means nothing was recently added, no major improvements noticeable. So 0 is not necessarily a negative thing where it's like, oh, it was terrible. It just means we didn't see any improvements. So first, let's talk about update notes. We're gonna give that a 0 because there were no update notes, nothing significantly added that we can see as far as the notes are concerned, so nothing there. In terms of line control, I'm gonna have to give that a 0 as well. No improvements there. I mean, there's an argument that can be made that was actually worse. In terms of corners and handling the corners, again, 0. In areas where I used to make it around corners, I wasn't making it today. The car wasn't slowing down as much as it used to make those same exact corners. So no improvements there. Again, not a negative hit, just nothing new, no improvement. In terms of street lights and stop signs, I'm gonna actually give it a 1 on this because most of the time it did actually do really well. And on some of the lights, it actually did better than previous updates. There was one instance, maybe 2, where it didn't go through those green lights, but the ones that it did do what it was supposed to do on, it handled them really well. It slowed down at a decent pace and accelerated at a comfortable pace. I'm gonna give it, a nice solid 1 for that. And one last thing, I wanna thank everybody who joined the Let It Drive movement in the last 30 days. A bunch of you guys jumped on board, picked up a t-shirt like this one, or a hoodie, or a water bottle, or a sticker for your car. It really helps support me and the channel, and plus, you could be part of the greatest movement ever. From the very beginning, all I've wanted is help people gain confidence and learn about their car, so thank you everybody who joined. That's up for this update. See you on the next one.